To talk to Coach Sermon, I guess just kind of give us a background on the relationship with you guys working together.
Yeah, Peter and I worked together at Cal. I'd known him before, and we had talked when we were at previous jobs. Very sharp football coach. We have a lot of similar philosophies. We've kind of kidded that this may look like a spring football game, at least when we're both on defense. But I know they'll do a good job. They've got a really, really good staff that gets the most out of their guys.
What do you do differently in that situation? I mean, I know you both know each other's stuff, but I mean, it can't be an advantage for either team, I would imagine.
I wouldn't think. I mean, we do some things slightly different. They do some things slightly different. But it really comes down to execution. It comes down to who's more excited to play and who's going to come out and execute and not give up big plays and make plays on our own.
With two good running backs in this game, how is the challenge for your defensive line to stop it, not get them into the secondary?
Well, everything starts with their run game. Jaden Knott was the best running back in the Pac-12. The last 2 years he's been really, really good. He's built a lot like Taj. He's very physical, makes good cuts. I think where they're different maybe than the time that I was with Coach Wilcox, I think their offensive line is really, really good. It's probably the best offensive line they've had. Most of those guys are veteran guys that started a year ago. Their offensive line coach has done a nice job getting those guys going, and I know Jaden Knott has appreciated that.
With some players being out due to injury and some not, due to the transfer portal, how does this game give an opportunity for some of these younger players that have shown glimpses of brilliance early?
Well, one of the great things is, in the NCAA, they don't count this game toward 4. So we'll have some of our younger guys up and that have already played 4 games. They'll get a chance to get their opportunity. A year ago, guys like Isaac Smith really blossomed and got a chance to show. I mean, he didn't even travel early in the year, and then he's starting in the bowl game. So to get a chance to see some of these young guys, I'm excited for them, and that's what bowls are all about.
Going back to the original subject, Neil's knowledge of Cal. Josh was out, most Bluebonner was out there visiting with them. How many, couple of days in what?
Yeah, he went last spring to visit with Peter and the staff out there. They've been very good with us as far as we trade information on common opponents, those kind of things. When you have relationships in this game, that's what you do. But come Saturday night, it's playing your brother in the backyard, and during that 3.5, 4 hours, whatever it is, buckle up. We're going to compete. One of the good news, I think, is technology-wise, in bowl games are allowing us to wear helmets with communication devices. So we'll be talking directly to our players, ideally, and won't have to signal. We have a system where we have 3 different signalers, and it changes, but they'll know some of our signals. And of course, when I was there, and I changed them having to go to Oregon, and we've changed them again coming here. So, it'll take a bit.
Let's see. So, how many players get to wear the?
I don't know if there's legislation on it. Right now we're talking about 3 players on the field having it.
3 players on each side.
Correct. Well, I don't know. I assume it's 3 for both.
Gotcha.
Offensively, I don't know that we're using 3 or if they're just going with the quarterback. So you'll have to ask Zach about that.
How many Cal's players do you have relationships with?
I know, still quite a few of them. With the transfer portal and being gone a few years, things move on. I'm hearing more, texts from former players that are, obviously, still Cal fans and letting me know what they think.
You've got a pretty good, I'm assuming, fond memories of the Independence Bowl personally.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but what I can remember, I was fortunate. My junior and senior years, we ended up winning both of those games. We beat Ole Miss my junior year, and then we beat Virginia Tech back when they had Bruce Smith my senior year. Unfortunately, I ended up getting injured in that game, but we still got the end result we wanted.
How does having this bowl time and these bowl practices help you for next year?
Well, we've had a chance for a couple of weeks now to really concentrate on our younger guys, to get those guys more up to speed, to see the progress that they've made, and we're excited about our young guys going into next fall. But a few of them are going to get a chance to be spotlighted this game. So, when those guys are typically on the offensive field, being on the look team, you don't see all the development, and then you start practicing with those guys, and it's like, hey, these guys are becoming those guys that we hoped they would be. They just weren't ready maybe last fall. And, like I said, some of those guys will get a chance, on Saturday night.
And Coach, speaking of the future, some of these young guys, I know a lot can change, but do you plan on coming back next year at Texas Tech?
I assume so. I'm still under contract, so no one's talked to me about that. Why, have you heard something?
No, just asking, with a lot of, just year to year, there's a lot of change with coaching staffs, just checking in.
Okay, yeah, no. I plan on it. Coach McGuire hasn't told me anything different, so.
You haven't told him anything, dear. There's speculation that you're going to back to the West Coast.
I don't know where that speculation comes from. I have not spoken to anybody. So, I have 2 years left on my contract, and I plan on spending them here. So.
You get Jacob Rodriguez back, obviously back for the bowl game. What's he look like? Jacob Rodriguez. What's he look like?
He looks great. We're a different team when he's on the field. You look at the games that he's started and finished. We're pretty good on defense, and he's a calming presence because he's got so much experience. He communicates well. He makes plays. During the year, I thought Ben really improved from his first start against Oregon to where we are today. But having a veteran guy next year, I think still helps him. Makes the calls that they can communicate things much better.
Yeah, I mean, clearly huge news around here. Taj Brooks, one of the best running backs in Texas Tech history. So for him to come back and have that leadership back, and just a player of his caliber, and leadership on and off the field, is going to be huge for us moving forward. And we all became better coaches knowing he's going to be back next year, so that's exciting. And again, biggest thing is just having a guy like him to show these young guys kind of the ropes to, and be a leader. And then again, just with what he brought to the table this year, hopefully we can carry a lot of that momentum into 2024.
But does this kind of shape your offensive game plan in a way, because you were a lot more run heavy this year, and I think that was due to, I guess, your hand getting forced. Does that kind of carry into next year with Taj coming back?
Yeah, I mean, definitely we got to look at it. Clearly I have a huge list of notes of things that we've got to really work on to get better this spring, and we're going to have some more additions where we're thinking here in the coming weeks that you guys are going to be excited about. So we really got to look at year to year and see what we're going to do. But definitely having him back, man, we got to find ways to get him the ball, and again, maybe that's in some different facets of the game. But we'll kind of look at again in the spring and in fall camp what we got to do to be the best football team we can be and to put points on the board. And Taj is going to be a huge part of that, though, for sure.
As you prepare for Cal, what do you see from the film from them, and what are going to be the challenges for this game?
Yeah, it's very similar to Coach DeRuyter's defense, so that's at least been good for us. A lot of familiarities there. As far as our guys kind of understand, schematically at least the shell of the defense a lot better. But man, they do a really good job. They play really hard. They kind of have that blue collar toughness to them where they're going to really run around and make plays. I like their defensive front a lot. I think that's kind of the strength of their defense. Again, they're very similar schematically to what we do here at Texas Tech, so that's going to be we feel at least a little bit of advantage going in that regard. Barron has a good feel about what they're going to do defensively and where they're going to be. So, but again, they're really good defensive guys. Get after it. They're coming in hot. 3-game win streak, played some really good offenses and have shut some really good offenses down. So it's going to be a good test for us for sure.
How does the younger players being able to get the time and get these 15 bowl practices help you and prepare you for 2024?
Yeah, it's huge. Especially these young wideouts, some of these young offensive linemen, they're getting a lot of reps right now, which is huge for them. We're excited about those guys and their future. So for them to be able to step in and get some more of these, non-scout team reps, but some, backup reps and some stuff like that's been great for them the last 2 weeks. And again, we're looking forward to seeing their growth next year too.
And Barron's 100%?
Yeah, Barron's looking good, man. It's been exciting having him back out there, rip the ball around a little bit. So him getting whatever that was, 10 to 11 days of true rest and true recovery was huge for that shoulder. And he's feeling good.
You
Coach,
mentioned-
how has Kelby and DJ and TJ, how have they looked with all the guys entering the portal, and I guess some opportunity for them this weekend?
Yeah, they've looked good. Again, they've kind of been thrown in the fire a little bit. It's been a lot of scout team, up until this point. So us just trying to get a game plan in early and get them comfortable with kind of, the new intricacies of the game plan with the motions and the formations and some of that stuff, making sure they feel confident there. But those kids can play, man. Those young guys can go, and we're excited. They've, Kelby's been one that's made a lot of plays the last couple of days in practice, and he looks really good. And DJ and TJ are coming along as well.
And with Ty Buchanan kind of sliding back into left tackle, how's he looked? I know he's spotted at guard a little bit too.
Yeah, he's looked good. The fun thing about him is whenever he knew it was going to be his time to shine, he texted Coach McGuire and everybody else and said, "Hey, it's my time to go here," and I'm excited for the opportunity, to go out there and play. And he's looked good, and we're excited to get him out there and see what he looks like on Saturday as well.
You mentioned all those young guys. How many of those guys? Sorry, Don, you'll get all the ones at the end. How many of those guys realistically are going to see a lot of reps this weekend?
Yeah, we'll see. You use the word a lot of reps. I don't know about a lot of reps. I know Coach Perry's using them a lot on special teams as well. So I think you will see definitely some reps there and in some areas that maybe they haven't gotten any reps so far this season in game time. But we'll see. We still feel like we've got some good depth around, and we'll kind of just see how it goes. But we're not going to be shy to throw those guys out there if we feel like something happens and they need to go. Again, they've been getting a lot of reps these last couple of weeks, and so they look good, and full confidence in those guys. If we got to go out there and play with them, they'll be ready to go.
With the tight turnaround time in bowl prep, did y'all do much experimentation in terms of looking at different personnel at different positions, like looking ahead to next year, this year, like maybe you did last year during bowl prep?
No, sir. No, not as much this year. It's been a whirlwind around here, with recruiting and trying to do the early bowl prep and all that. We haven't had a whole lot of time to mess around with some of that stuff. But I got a long list of notes of some stuff that we're going to look at, moving forward to January and February into spring football. So we'll look at a lot of those things. But this time with just such a quick turnaround and recruiting all going on at once, we haven't experimented with a whole lot.
You mentioned Barron being close to 100%. How does that potentially change the playbook and for you as a play caller?
Yeah, it helps for sure. Again, I'm a firm believer that when you run the ball good, it opens up the pass game, and when you're throwing the ball well, it opens up the run game. So, again, we got 28 back there, so we need to try to get him the ball as much as we can, but again, try to be multiple. Again, because when you look at how we've looked the last few weeks, these guys are probably going to add that extra hat to the box and try to make us throw it. So having him back there full health and feeling really good and just getting a little bit of more confidence back because he's healthy too. He was 2 days ago was like one of his best practices he's had all year, just really throwing the deep ball good and just on point. And you could see he had that swagger back about himself, and he was feeling really confident. So when he's got that swagger and he feels really confident, I feel really confident, and I know all the guys around him do too. So it's been good.
And then just for you as a younger offensive coordinator, the offense didn't perform, I think, like a lot of expectations going into the season. How have you handled some of the criticism, and then what have you learned this year?
Yeah, definitely not even close to the year we want or expected. I think criticism kind of comes with the job, and I understand that. Clearly it's not any fun, especially when you love this place as much as I do, but it's kind of part of it, and again, I got to find ways to be better. At the end of the day, how good this thing is or how bad this thing is, it kind of reverts back to me. So I've got to be a little bit more hands-on in some certain areas, again, which I talked about earlier, some notes that I've got where I've got to try to adapt some things a little bit more here and there. And again, we can make a million excuses of what happened this year with injuries and some stuff like that, but at the end of the day, as Coach McGuire says, the ball's going to be kicked off on Saturday. So we've got to come in with better game plans and better ways to get our guys in position to be successful. And again, I didn't do a good enough job this year at that, and so I'm taking that as a challenge to myself for this spring and this upcoming year to really look back at myself in the mirror and again take these notes that I've gone and really apply them to what we got to do to be better next year.
I know you can't empty the notebook, but can you give us an idea, maybe a thing or two in terms of adaptation we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, again, we got to continue to try to be more multiple. I felt like there's a 4 or 5 game stretch there. Again for obvious reasons there, but I felt like we were pretty bland and not as creative as I am and I want to be. And so there's some areas there where I got to be better. And looking back on it, I wish I would have probably trusted my gut instinct a little bit more to do some things that I didn't do. Again, because of how we had to prepare throughout the week. And so we'll see how that goes. But again, I mean, I love my staff. I love our guys. Our kids never wavered one time this year. Again, with Barron kind of being in and out of practices and some of that stuff, like the receivers never got frustrated with the targets we're getting in practice. And again, we gotta look at ourselves all in the mirror and find out what we got to do to go make sure 2024 is what we want it to be. Because offensively this year we didn't get it done, and it's frustrating. But again, at the same time, proud of us to overcome a lot of adversity and get in this bowl game and hopefully carry some momentum into 2024.
You say multiple, you mean more different personnel packages? Is what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
some different personnel packages. Really trying to be a little bit more creative and forcing the ball to some certain guys. That's the hard part. I know this year it was like, hey, run the ball a lot. But we're about to have. You're going to see, like I said, you're going to see some new faces here. I think in 2024, and there's only one football that goes around, so. It's going to be fun for us, getting those guys in here and trying to find ways to be creative, but also trying to split up those touches as much as we can to where we're trying to get our best players in football as much as we can.
And your thoughts on obviously being so close to the situation with Tyler moving on after what he's done here and then it becoming Barron Morton's team?
Yeah, I mean, I love Tyler. Tyler's great for this football program and for me and for everybody around here. So wish him nothing but the best. But fired up for Barron and his future. It's one thing that I think also is going to be huge for our football team moving forward. Is this is going to be the first real spring where he's going in with getting the 1 reps pretty much consistently throughout spring and then all summer and then all fall camp too. So when you're talking about going through my first spring here, my first fall camp here, and then last spring as well. There was not as much probably continuity as you're going to see now because there's different voices back there and splitting those reps where now you're going to see Barron Morton getting those reps where he hadn't gotten in the past, and I think that's going to be an area where he's going to really improve. And I think you've seen that a lot as we've gone throughout the season from my lens and just how he's attacking defenses, how he's seeing things a lot differently.
Where has he improved? I mean, he's been injured. That's been a lot of adversity for him. Where have you seen Barron improve?
On the mental side of the game. And that was, when you watch Barron Morton throw a football, I mean, he's got all the talent in the world, right? So it's not some of the physical parts of the game, which we're still working on some consistent feet and some stuff like that in the pocket and some pocket awareness things, which he's gotten better at. But I think more than anything, off the field, the mental side of the game and seeing defenses and attacking those weaknesses and getting to those situations where we want him to get into. And he's done a really good job there this year. I could probably name off the top of my head a few plays where he looked out there and gave a quick sign and is throwing touchdown passes out there, which is what we want from him.
All the, I guess, turnover coming on the offensive line in the portal, what do you look for, I guess, interior guys and obviously tackles?
Yeah, I mean, we need some experience. When you look at our room right now, we don't have a whole lot of older guys coming back next year, so we need to get some experience with some older guys. Fired up about our young offensive linemen that are here. But again, you're talking redshirt freshmen, true freshmen coming in. Those are not the kind of the guys you want to play right away. So we need some experience and just some guys that love football, that want to come in and play hard. I mean, that's what we're looking for. Again, the injury bug hurt us this year there a little bit too, having to bounce some pieces around, which is kind of unfortunate, but is what it is. So really just trying to get some older guys in there to really bolster that up and create some good depth there, and some guys that can come in and compete and again have a really good healthy room there to make sure that these young offensive linemen are trending in the direction that they need to be trending in as well.
Tim mentioned a moment ago that you'll be able to communicate with players on the field in the bowl game. What's how many guys do you on offense? How will that be like?
So for us, it's just me and the quarterbacks. So I'm direct communication with them. It's been a blast. I love it. I think the NCAA needs to pass that rule, and I think it needs to be completely uniform across the NCAA, in my opinion. Again, I'm a firm believer that we need to do everything that the NFL's doing. At some point, we need to do all those things. So it's been a lot of fun. We've only been able to have, I guess, 2 practices with that, and today will be number 3. So it's been a lot of fun for me just being able to communicate with those guys and Try not to overcoach because you want to hold that thing down and tell them where to throw the football every play, or hey, hand it off, hand it off, hand it off. But no, I think it's really important for the game of football and where we're going. You got the sign stealing thing going on and all that stuff, and this is a way where all you can kind of take all that stuff away, take away the board signs, take away the curtains, all the hand signals and some of that stuff, and I think it just cleans up the game and makes the game easier for everybody. And again, I think it's something that we need to move forward with in college football.
So is that gonna change the way you call in plays during the bowl game?
So I'm just because this is our first time doing this, right? So I don't want there to be some malfunctions or something. So I'm gonna stay on the sideline. But if this is something that the NCAA passes, I mean, I'm definitely want to look at moving forward next year, maybe moving to the box. But we'll see. Again, I think this thing has to be foolproof before we move to there. Again, this is gonna be the first time anybody tries this at all. So I want to make sure that, let's say this thing breaks or Barron can't hear me or whatever it is, that I still have that option to signal the plays, and if so. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's been again fun to practice because I can just kind of stand back and try to survey the defense and just call it off the sheet versus having to throw out 100 hand signals myself.
I can't remember if it's open for the NFL during like an actual play, but is it going to be open during the plays, or where you could say, hey, it's the reads that hand it off?
Yeah, so for right now, for the bowl games, they're going to have it completely live the whole time.
Okay.
So again, there's a fine line with it. It sounds really great, and I'll try not to overcoach because you don't want to be in their ear, as they're snapping the football too. But there's been a couple times where I'm like, hey, it's this cover, throw it over here, and that's been fun for me. And then I'm also sitting there telling myself, okay, I may be doing too much as a coach here. So there's a fine line, but yeah, it's unless they change it between now and then, it's going to be open communication. Clearly they can't speak to us, but they can hear us talk the whole time. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
So it's just experimental for the bowl game?
For right now it is. I know most people are trying to get it passed, again, because of all the sign sealing and all that stuff. They're talking about doing these wristband things where I would have to carry an iPad. It's like an Excel document, click in a play, and it shoots to a wristband. Again, you're talking a lot of, I'm not a fan of that. Those things, who knows, that thing, you get tackled and the helmet smashes that, does that break? And then again, I don't know. I know they're talking about that a little bit too. I'm a fan. Again, I think we do what the NFL does. I like to spread people out offensively too. I mean, I think eventually we need to move the hashes just like the NFL has the hashes. I think eventually we need to be able to have the iPads on the sideline and be able to fly through those plays right after. So we'll see. But yeah, it's just going to be, as far as I know, it's just going to be experimental for the bowl game, and they're going to get coaches' feedback and administration's feedback and some of that stuff. I mean, clearly there's going to be some cost to it. But again, I'm not naive to the fact I don't know how much money's involved in college football, so I think we have the money and the resources to get it done.
Have you ever thought your signs were being stolen? Or, I mean, had that as a fear? Or
Not really, to be honest with you. I mean, there's been a couple games this year where I see coaches across the sideline and they're staring at me and they're writing down everything I say, but then you can huddle up and you can say, hey, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna fake this sign. And I don't need to say the team name, but there was one game here at home that I did it this year, and they thought it was a certain play, and we ran something, we faked the play, and we ended up getting a 40-yard gain on it. So again, I'm not a huge believer in that. How we play too and how fast we go, I mean, it just kind of is what it is. So I do believe that it's out there for certain people, but for how I operate and how we operate between us, and again, how the quarterback has a lot of leeway out there to change it anyway, it doesn't concern me much.
Going back to Taj for a moment, from your understanding, how did his decision-making process evolve since the end of the regular season? When did you become aware that he was going to stay?
Yeah, we've known for just a couple days now, but I think ultimately his draft status didn't come back as quite as good as he wanted. And he loves Texas Tech, man. And I mean, I don't know the exact stats. I'm sure y'all do. I know he's pretty close next season if he has a really good year to be the all-time leading rusher in school history. And he wants to give back to Texas Tech, and he loves his place, and loves Coach McGuire and the staff we have here and his teammates. And I think he just felt like after not getting quite the draft grade that he was hoping for, that this is a great opportunity for him to come back. And clearly, we're all excited he's coming back, and hopefully we can set that all-time rushing record next year for him.
Got time for one or two more if we have any.
Coach, with all the movement in the wide receiver room, is there anybody on your depth chart that's kind of moving up a little bit faster than somebody else right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, you're going to see a little bit more Brady Boyd this week, probably than we've seen in the last couple weeks. He's done a really good job. And then, Kelby, like I said, Kelby's had a bunch of really good practices lately, and so we'll see. We're going to kind of roll out with those kind of guys that we had ended the year with, with Coy and Dre and X White and Jordan Brown, and those other guys will kind of sprinkle themselves in. But again, I thought DJ Crest and Kelby, for those two young freshmen, looked really, really good these last couple of practices. So again, we'll see if they get in. I don't want to make any promises, but if they do, I think those guys can go out and play.
And I guess the same question for the running back room, with Cameron and Nehemiah leaving, where do you kind of fit that depth chart right now?
Yeah, so Nehemiah's been gone. Wish him nothing but the best. Love that kid to death. Cam's actually still around, so Cam's been practicing with us, so he's going to be in the bowl game. So he's been getting a lot of good reps. And then Bryson Donnell and Anquan Willis. Man, Anquan Willis had a huge practice 2 days ago. I mean, we were laughing. We think he had on about 8 carries, about 150 yards. It looked like just big running downhill. So we're really excited about him in the future. Clearly just still a young guy, still learning the game a little bit, but we feel excited about those guys. And again, we're going to have some new faces coming in this spring too that we're excited about. So we'll kind of see how it goes when they get here as well.
Coach, with Dre, I think he played a lot of H with Miles not available anymore. Is he going to slide into that Y, that 4 slot?
So we'll kind of depend on what personnel we're in. He'll move around. So you'll see him at some H and some Y. You'll see him at both.
What about Brady?
You'll see him at some a little bit everywhere. That's the good thing about Brady, man. So he was at Z 2 days ago, and Jake Strong threw him about a 40-yard pass across the middle. Great touchdown catch, and then we had him at Y on a play, and he catches a touchdown from Baron Morton in the back of the end zone as well. So he's thing I love about Brady, he's a coach's kid. He's really sharp, loves football, wants to coach after he's done too. So he's the guy you can really plug and play anywhere.
What is Matt Keeler's status moving forward on the offensive line?
Yeah, so he's with us still, and he's getting a lot of reps for us at tackle right now. Again, he's going to be that first tackle in. If something happens with Caleb or with Ty. So yeah, he's still here doing a really good job, and he's kind of that swing tackle for us for the bowl game.
And you expect him after the bowl game or no?
We'll see. I kind of think that he'll maybe stick around and graduate here, but he may be looking for a place where he can go be a starter.
Thanks, Zach.